Malcolm Harris stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse office, watching the Atlanta skyline shimmer in the October dusk. 45 years old, and he still got a rush seeing the city lights come alive. The view never got old, because he remembered when he couldn't afford to dream this big. His assistant, Jasmine, knocked softly before entering. "Mr. Harris, your 8 p.m. with the investors just ended. You should probably head home. You've been here since 6 this morning." Malcolm smiled without turning around. "I'll leave soon. Thanks, Jazz." She knew better than to push. Malcolm Harris didn't get to the top of Atlanta's tech scene by going home early. Harris Tech Solutions, his baby, his legacy, was now worth over $200 million. They'd started with 3 employees in a cramped midtown office 7 years ago. Now they occupied 4 floors of this building, employed over 300 people, and were about to close their biggest contract yet with a Fortune 500 company. But tonight Malcolm felt restless. He opened his desk drawer and pulled out an old photograph, faded, creased at the edges. It showed a younger version of himself, maybe 23, standing outside Clark Atlanta University in a security guard uniform. He'd worked nights to pay tuition during the day. His mother had passed away his sophomore year, and there was no money, no backup plan. Just him, his determination, and a belief that education was the only way out. That guard uniform had been his armor, his dignity. He put the photo back and grabbed his blazer. Maybe it was time to finally go home. Malcolm walked through the executive floor, his footsteps echoing in the silence. It was 10:47 p.m. Most employees had left by 7. He liked these quiet hours. They reminded him that success wasn't just about the noise of meetings and deals. It was about the foundation, the infrastructure, the people who kept everything running when no one was watching. As he approached the elevator, he heard something. Music, faint, coming from down the hall. He frowned and followed the sound. It led him to the small employee break room near the east wing, a modest space with a few tables, a microwave, vending machines, and a water cooler. The door was slightly ajar, warm light spilling into the hallway. Malcolm pushed it open gently. Inside, a young black woman sat alone at one of the tables. She wore the navy blue uniform of the night cleaning crew, Bright Star Janitorial Services, stitched across the chest. Her cleaning cart was parked against the wall, supplies neatly organized. But she wasn't cleaning. She was studying. A laptop, old with a cracked screen, sat open in front of her. Textbooks were spread across the table. Introduction to Business Analytics, Python Programming for Beginners, Financial Accounting Fundamentals. A spiral notebook filled with handwritten notes. A half-eaten turkey sandwich wrapped in foil. A pair of earbuds connected to her phone, playing what sounded like lo-fi jazz. She was completely absorbed, her pen moving quickly as she worked through a problem set, lips moving silently as she calculated. Malcolm stood there transfixed. The young woman couldn't have been older than 22, 23. Her hair was pulled back into a neat bun. Her face had that intense focus Malcolm recognized, the look of someone who was hungry not for food but for something bigger, something better. He cleared his throat softly. The young woman jumped so hard her notebook went flying. She yanked out her earbuds and shot to her feet, eyes wide with panic. "Oh my God, Mr. Harris. I'm so sorry, sir, I was just on my break. I wasn't slacking off, I promise. I finished the executive floor and I just..." Malcolm raised a hand gently. Hey, it's okay. Relax." She looked terrified. Her hands were shaking. "You're not in trouble," Malcolm said, his voice calm. "I'm just curious. What are you studying?" She hesitated, glancing at the door like she was calculating an escape route. Business analytics, sir." Malcolm stepped closer, keeping his distance respectful. He picked up one of her textbooks. "This is a Georgia State University textbook." "Yes, sir. I'm trying to get in. I'm taking online prep courses right now to build my application. I work here 5 nights a week and I study during my breaks." Malcolm set the book down carefully. "What's your name?" "Aisha. Aisha Thompson." "Aisha." He nodded. "How long have you been doing this? Studying while you work?" She shifted her weight, still nervous. "About 8 months now, sir. I clean from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. Monday through Friday. I study during downtime, like between floors or when I'm waiting for the floors to dry." Malcolm was stunned. That's a 17, 18-hour schedule if you're taking courses during the day." Aisha shook her head. "I take online courses when I can. And I sleep from 6 a.m. to noon usually. It's not that bad." "Not that bad." Malcolm felt something tighten in his chest. "Why business analytics?" he asked. For the first time, Aisha's fear softened into something else. Passion. Because data tells stories, she said quietly. It shows patterns people can't see. I want to help companies make better decisions, smarter decisions. I want to work somewhere like here. She gestured around the break room, embarrassed. I know that sounds crazy. I'm just a cleaner. But that's my dream. Malcolm stared at her for a long moment. That doesn't sound crazy, he said. That sounds like someone who knows exactly what she wants. Aisha looked down. Wanting something and getting it are two different things, Mr. Harris. Dreams cost money. And I don't have much of that. Malcolm took a slow breath. He saw himself in her. 20 years ago, standing in a university library at midnight, too broke to buy textbooks, photocopying chapters page by page. Eating ramen for weeks. Sleeping in his car some nights because rent was due and tuition came first. He'd made it because someone believed in him. A professor. A mentor. A stranger who gave him a chance when no one else would. Now, standing in this break room, Malcolm realized something. This was his moment to be that person. Pack your things, he said suddenly. Aisha froze. What? Pack your books. You're coming with me. Her face went pale. Am I being fired? Malcolm smiled, a real warm smile. No, Aisha. You're being invested in. 10 minutes later, they sat across from each other in Malcolm's glass-walled conference room on the executive floor. The city stretched out below them, a glittering tapestry of lights. Aisha sat stiffly in one of the leather chairs, her textbooks and laptop on the table in front of her. She looked like she might bolt at any second. Malcolm poured 2 glasses of water from the pitcher on the side table and handed her one. Relax, he said, sitting down across from her. You're not in trouble. I promise. Aisha took a shaky sip of water. Then, why am I here? Malcolm leaned back in his chair. Tell me about yourself. Where are you from? She blinked, clearly not expecting the question. I grew up in Southwest Atlanta, Cascade area. My mom raised me and my little brother by herself. She worked 2 jobs, one at a hospital, one cleaning office buildings at night. Is she still working? Aisha's face fell. She passed away 2 years ago. Ovarian cancer. She didn't have insurance, and by the time we caught it, it was stage 4. Malcolm's heart sank. I'm sorry. Aisha nodded, her jaw tight. She always told me to get an education. She said it was the only way to break the cycle. So that's what I'm doing. For her. And your brother? He's 17. Senior year of high school. Lives with my aunt right now. I send money when I can. She paused. Mr. Harris, I appreciate you asking about my life, but I don't understand why. How much does Georgia State cost? Malcolm interrupted. Aisha hesitated. For the program I want? About $25,000 a year. I've been saving, but I'm only at about $8,000 right now. I'll have enough in another year, maybe 2. Malcolm did the math in his head. At her cleaning salary, it would take her 3 years of brutal hours just to afford 1 year of school. And you'd keep working nights while you study? I'd have to, she said. I've got rent. My brother needs help. I can't just stop working. Malcolm stood up and walked to the window. The city stretched endlessly before him, full of stories like Aisha's. People grinding in silence, chasing dreams no one else could see. He turned back to her. What if I told you that you could start at Georgia State next semester? Full tuition covered. And what if I offered you a paid internship here in our analytics department while you study? Aisha stared at him like he'd just spoken another language. What? I want to invest in you, Aisha, Malcolm said. Not as charity. As an investment. I see potential. I see hunger. I see someone who's willing to sacrifice sleep, time, comfort, everything, to build a better future. That's the kind of person I want on my team. Aisha's eyes filled with tears. She shook her head quickly. Mr. Harris, I can't ask you to do that. That's too much. You're not asking. I'm offering. He sat back down, his gaze steady. Here's the deal. I'll cover your tuition at Georgia State for all 4 years. In exchange, you'll intern here 20 hours a week while you study. You'll be paid. You'll learn from my team. And when you graduate, if you want to stay, we'll talk about a full-time position. Aisha couldn't speak. Tears streamed down her face. Malcolm continued, his voice softer now. 20 years ago I was you. I was a security guard working nights, studying during my breaks, living off instant noodles, wondering if I'd ever make it. Someone gave me a shot. A professor saw something in me and connected me with a mentor. That mentor opened doors I didn't even know existed. He leaned forward. I'm not a charity case, Aisha. I'm a businessman. And I know a good investment when I see one. So here's my question. Are you willing to work harder than you've ever worked? Are you willing to prove that my faith in you wasn't misplaced? Aisha nodded, her voice breaking. Yes, sir. I swear I won't let you down. Malcolm smiled. Then welcome to Harris Tech. The next 6 months were a whirlwind. Aisha enrolled at Georgia State in January, diving into her coursework with ferocity. Malcolm assigned her to work under Tanya Morrison, the head of Harris Tech's analytics division. A sharp, no-nonsense black woman in her late 30s who had built the department from the ground up. At first, Tanya was skeptical. You're telling me you hired a cleaner to work in analytics? She asked Malcolm over coffee one morning. I hired someone with potential, Malcolm replied. Give her a chance. If she doesn't deliver in 90 days, we'll reassess. Tanya gave Aisha the hardest assignments: data cleaning projects, grunt work, endless spreadsheets. She wanted to see if the girl would crack. Aisha didn't. She showed up early, stayed late, asked questions, took notes. She taught herself advanced Excel functions on YouTube. She debugged Python scripts at midnight. She absorbed everything like a sponge. By month 3, Tanya stopped testing her and started trusting her. Okay, Tanya admitted to Malcolm one day. I was wrong. She's good. Really good. Aisha's confidence grew. She started speaking up in meetings, contributing ideas. Malcolm watched her transform from the shy, nervous young woman he'd met in the break room into someone who walked with purpose. But it wasn't easy. One night, about 5 months into her internship, Malcolm found Aisha sitting alone in the analytics lab at 10 p.m., her head in her hands. Hey, he said gently, stepping inside. You okay? Aisha looked up. Her eyes were red. I don't know if I can do this, Mr. Harris. He sat down beside her. What happened? I failed my midterm in Python programming. I studied so hard, but she wiped her eyes. Maybe I'm not smart enough for this. Malcolm's voice was firm. Stop. Don't do that. One test doesn't define you. But what if you wasted your money on me? What if I'm not? Aisha. He waited until she looked at him. Do you know how many times I failed before I succeeded? I failed my first business. Lost everything. I got rejected from 12 investment firms before someone said yes. Failure isn't the end. It's part of the process. She sniffled. So what do? You get back up. You study harder. You ask for help. And you don't quit. Aisha nodded slowly. I believe in you, Malcolm said. But you have to believe in yourself too. 8 months after their first meeting, Aisha did something that shocked everyone. Harris Tech was preparing a major pitch for a Fortune 500 client. A retail giant looking to optimize their supply chain using predictive analytics. The contract was worth $10 million. Malcolm's team had been working on the presentation for weeks. 2 days before the pitch, Tanya called Malcolm into her office. You need to see this, she said. Aisha stood nervously beside Tanya's desk, a laptop open in front of them. Aisha found something, Tanya said. Show him. Aisha pulled up a data visualization, a dynamic, interactive model showing the client's supply chain inefficiencies in real time. I was reviewing the client's raw data, Aisha explained, and I noticed a pattern. They're losing about $2 million annually because of a bottleneck in their distribution centers in the Midwest. If we reroute shipments through a secondary hub and adjust their inventory algorithms, we could cut their losses by 60%. Malcolm stared at the screen. How did our senior analysts miss this? They didn't dig deep enough into the regional data, Aisha said. I stayed late and ran some extra models. Tanya grinned. She's a natural. Malcolm looked at Aisha, pride swelling in his chest. We're using this in the pitch. You're presenting it. Aisha's eyes went wide. What? No, I can't. Yes, you can, Malcolm said firmly. You found it. You present it. 2 days later, Aisha stood in front of the client's executive team, her voice steady as she walked them through her analysis. The room was silent, captivated. When she finished, the CEO leaned back in his chair and smiled. That's the kind of insight we've been looking for. Harris Tech, you've got the contract. Malcolm wanted to cheer. After the meeting, he pulled Aisha aside. You just helped close a $10 million deal, he said. You know what that means? She shook her head, stunned. It means you're not an intern anymore. Effective immediately, you're a junior analyst. Full-time. With a salary, benefits, and stock options. Aisha broke down crying. 1 year after that night in the break room, Malcolm stood in the same spot, looking through the glass door. But this time, Aisha was on the other side, dressed in a sharp blazer, leading a training session for new interns. She was confident, poised, brilliant. Malcolm smiled. Later that evening, as he prepared to leave, he saw someone else in the break room. A young man in a janitorial uniform sitting alone, studying from a laptop. Malcolm knocked gently. The young man looked up, startled. "Don't worry," Malcolm said with a smile. "You're not in trouble." "What are you studying?" The young man hesitated. "Computer science, sir." Malcolm nodded. "Keep going. You never know who's watching." As he walked to the elevator, Malcolm thought about legacy. About how one act of belief could ripple forward, changing lives in ways you could never predict. And he realized that Aisha hadn't just changed her own life. She changed his too. The end.